Now that the backend logic for registration and logging in are working, let's move to the client side to implement that. And before we continue, I have already provided the template for the registration and then the logging in, and definitely I'll provide them for you. And like I said, that we have already laid down the foundation. All what we're going to do is going to be repetition from the previous concept. First step is that let's mount this component as a route. So let's get into the app.js file and let's create one for the login in component, and let's require the login component and change this one to login, and also for the registration as register, and then the register component, unless I resave it where I need to place it inside the right folder. So I'm going to create one folder for users or just user, and then inside the template, let me copy this and then place it inside the users folder under the component. Likewise, the registration, copy that and paste it here. All right, so let's make sure that the imports are working fine. The login is not from the template, but instead we're going to use it from the users component, and this one is the register and from the user component as that. Perfect. So let's close these guys and let's try out. If I go to register, as you can see, the component has been rendered, and if I go to /login, we have the login component as that. Awesome. So let's mount it here. I think we have the link already on the navbar that points to the registration. Let me show you on the public navbar, which is this. We have what is called create account, which is this, that points to the registration component. Awesome. And I can click on this one as already have an account, then I can go ahead and click on that to log in. So let's continue with the registration, and from there we will work on the Google sign in, which is this. Awesome. So let's get back to the create component. That is the registration, and let's get back here. Open that, which is this one, and here we have empty template without any logics. So here we have the link for already have an account, and then this one points to the login component. Let me add some spacing as that, and let's see, yeah, I have some spacing as that, and this is the username input field with some predefined configuration as we did for the creating of a post. It follows the same principles. So in case you didn't watch the previous videos under the creating of post under the CRUD operation, I would advise you to watch that because we explained how to handle forms using Formic. At this point, we are just going to use them. All right, so let's continue. Next step is that we need to create our API services. So inside the API services, I'm going to create one for users, and I'm going to have the users API.js is going to be the same thing. So here we are going to export const, and I will say register API, which is equal to async callback function rec response, and here we go. Let me provide a comment as register user, and we will need the base URL, and for this we can create a utility file for it so that we can reuse it. So let's get into the utils, which is, let me close. SRC and utils. Where is it? Well, for this, you don't have a folder for utils, so let me create one called utilities or utils, and then have one for base URL or endpoint or API.js. And let's export as export const, supposed to be here, export const base underscore URL, which is equal to the base endpoint is, let's get back here for the post, copy that, and back to the base endpoint. This is what I want. It ends at the / okay. So let's get back to the, let me close this and let's require the base URL. And there we go. So inside we need to have the Axios. So here import Axios from Axios, and let's await that and bring in Axios.post. And then inside we're going to provide the base URL as that, and the endpoint is / users and / register. So let me copy that and then / that. And as a second argument is going to be the data that we want to register the user with. So here is supposed to be user data, but not rec and response. I thought I'm on the back end. So here, let's pass in the user details, and we will need the username, which can be found on the user data.username. I will show you how you're going to pass that, and then the password as user data.password, and then the email as user data.email. And let's assign the result to response, which is equal to that. And take note about this. Since we are not sending back the token to the client, but instead we are saving into the cookie, we need to find a way to tell Axios that, hey Axios, this is the kind of authentication method that we are using, so that Axios can pass the token to the request upon making the request. So here, as the third argument to Axios, we're going to provide what is called with credentials, and then set to true. And that is it. And then here, let's return by sending response.data. So now we have the API or the handler to make the request. Now let's use it inside the registration. And here we have to handle the form. And we have done that one already under the creating of a post. So we are going to mimic that. So let's get into the post and then the create post here. And let me close these guys. And here, how we handle forms here, we're going to use the same concept. So I'm going to copy the formic implementation, which is this, and back here I will say formic config or usage and paste that. So here we will need the username, and then the email, and then the password as that. And inside the validation, we will need the username, and I will say username is required, email is required, and then the password, and then password is also required. But for email, we have a specific validation, and let me show you. Let me copy this. We want to make sure that the user is providing email. So here as email, Then here we will say that enter valid email, and then dot required, and then provide email is required, and then comma here. Awesome. So for this one, we don't need form data. So here, let's remove everything from here, and let's just log the values. And let's look at the input fields. For the username, we're gonna have these fields. So here, let me uncomment these guys, and we don't need these guys because getFieldProps provides all of these ones for us automatically, so I can remove that. And then let's uncomment the error here for displaying. We have the username and that. Again, in case you're confused about formic, then I would advise you to rewatch the CRUD operation section of this course. So here as that, and make sure to provide the same value you provided inside the initial values here. All right. And then let's bring back this one. And lastly is the password. Remove these guys. Or in case you want to maintain this, then you can remove this one. So this line of code is the same as this one. All right, so now let's simplify things by using this. Let's make sure that everything is working fine for the registration, no error. That is awesome. Next step is that let's handle the mutation part of it, and we have the post mutation here, which is this. So copy that, and then down here, or let me bring it here as that. So this is going to be user mutation as user mutation. And again, for this one too, in case you're confused, then I advise you to rewatch the CRUD operation section. So let's require the use mutation, and here we will say user registration. And then the API is called register user or register API. Let's resave to have the auto import, which is this one, register API. Perfect. And now we are going to call this one inside the submit handler. But before that, let's try out to make sure that the form is working. I think we have an error here or some warning, and that is receive a Boolean attribute being set to true. So let's see if we have some Boolean values. Type here. Yeah. Well, I have to bind the handle submit to the form. As you can see, this is the issue. Yeah, so here is going to be on submit, and then provide formic dot handle submit. All right, so now with this one, let's check the console, and the error is gone. Provide this as email and email@gmail.com, and then password as that. And as you can see, we have the details here. So it's now for us to register by calling the register API. So inside here, we're going to use the user mutation dot mutate. Let me check. Yeah, it's dot mutate. And then pass in the values as that. And now let's try sign up, and we got type error on the submit form. Use mutation is not a function, or supposed to be user mutation. Yeah, this one instead. And let's try again. So let's check inside our database to make sure that it is working. And it is inside the main block users, and as you can see, the registration was successful, and that is email. Awesome. So let's try to display some loading and error in case you're gonna have one. And we also have this implementation already. So let me close these guys. Likewise, even everything from here. And let's get into the post component, which is this, where we are displaying the error. Yeah, which are these ones. Okay, so let me copy that. And then back to the user registration, where we have show elect, which is this. And now on the user mutation, we have all the properties like is pending, is success, or is error. So let's go ahead and then log the user mutation to know more about the response. For the meantime, let me comment out these ones and let's check the terminal or console. Let me refresh it and provide username as Ima and as ima@gmail.com and the password as that, and sign up. Now let's see, we got success, and then if I try again, now let's see the error. We have it as error.response.data.message as user already exists. So we can use that one as error.response.data.message. So now let me bring it back, and in case it is loading, we will say that it is loading, but we have it on the user mutation dot is pending. And let me add these 3 ellipses, and then for success is going to be user mutation dot is success. And then for error, duplicate, and I will say mutation dot is error. Then we will display the error as user mutation dot error dot response dot data dot message. Now let's see. I think let me try again. Ima and ima@gmail.com. The password, where we have an error. Let me check. I think elect message is not defined, so let's import that. So let's try to resave the elect component. Awesome. So let's try again as ima@gmail.com, and then the password, sign up, and we got user already exists. So let's change to error, and we got user already exists. And in case I change this one to something like this, and let me change this one to user, let me say registration success, and let's see, and we have it as that. And upon registration, I want to redirect the user to login page. So here we are going to use what is called mutate async. So here as mutate async, therefore we can await the result, and this is where we are going to redirect the user, and then dot catch. In case we have an error, we can go ahead and then log the error. All right, so this is where we are going to redirect inside the dot then as redirect, and we're going to use what is called use navigate. So here as navigate or redirect as const navigate is equal to use navigate as a hook, and inside here as navigate pass in the path as login. Now, as you can see, let's try out again something like this. And I know that I'll be registered. As you can see, I'm on the login page. Awesome. Let's continue in the next video.